Morning, everyone. Whack it again. Good morning, everyone. Tim is not able to be here this morning. He had a medical appointment, so I'm just going to fill in for him this morning. I think we'll start with the national anthem, and then we'll go into the rest of the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command, with glowing hearts we see big rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Excellent. Excellent.
So I'll just start with our land reconciliation opening that we use at the beginning of the meeting. We acknowledge that Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The Rotary Club of Innisfil also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the first peoples of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The Rotary Club of Innisfil acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. Morning, Ken. So I would like to invite Al up to do his Sergeant at Arms report, please.
Good morning, past President Anne. Thank you for running the ship today. Good morning to John on Zoom, and you're just recovering from surgery, and take care of yourself now, okay? All right. A special warm welcome to a good friend of this club. Nice to see you, Jason. And a very special warm welcome to all of our Rotarians. So I've got just a few things because we've got Katie and Debbie are going to be talking to you, and I know you'd much rather listen and see them up here. But we do have a couple of things to take care of. Sid the kid, my granddaughter, 16 years old. She's an elite swimmer with the Trojan swim team. Now, you don't think there's any pressure on these kids. There's 50,000 competitive swimmers across Canada. All want to go to the Olympics. So Sid's in Toronto last weekend at U of T at a meet. And it's two things. One, she's going to be going to university in another year. So the coaches from the university are there watching for these kids. So big thing. However, she also has to get times because she wants to go to Edmonton to the Nationals. Now at the Nationals, they pick kids for the Olympics. So she's in a race and her swim is the butterfly. I used to see this kid swim. Oh my God. Anyway, you have to get the time. She missed her time. Not by 1 second, by 6/8 of a second. Wow. But she's back in the pool this weekend coming at another meet. She's pretty confident she'll get the times and she'll be going to the Nationals for Canada. So I know you hear about my granddaughter all the time, but you can't help but think of the pressure and the stress put on these kids. I mean, 1 second, the difference between staying in Barrie or going to Edmonton to the Nationals and maybe represent your country. I mean, isn't that amazing? 1 second. So you know you're going to hear about this again.
What about those meats?
I'm just going to say.
Oh, yeah. Andrea, Andrea, thank you so much for joining me at Sunny Bray, and we read to the kids the Apple Dumpling book, and was that one of your first things to do as a Rotarian?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us about it. What was it like?
It was nice. It was great to see the kids and interact, and it was fun to do it with you.
It was really great.
Yeah.
There's always one kid. There was 33 kids, but there was one little guy. And he was sitting there looking at me and looking at Andrea, blonde hair with a bright green stripe down the middle. And you just knew this kid was going to be trouble. And then, so I made the mistake of engaging while that's it. Finally, the teacher stepped in and said, okay, listen, go out and come back in and be quiet.
So you were the.
Were you the bad one?
Okay. Deafblind Ontario. So your Choice Got committee, and we have members here today. We have Anne, and we have Barb, and Ann Smith's on it. Joanne's on it. We behind the scenes in the background, we get requests at Rotary, and sometimes it's something you don't want to publicize for various reasons. And we've helped a few people. We just got this letter. The Rotary Club of Innisfil. Dear Club of Innisfil members, Happy New Year. Thank you very much for your donation towards the Kids for a Cause holiday campaign. What this was, there's 4 men who live in Innisfil who are deaf and blind, and they live in a home. At Christmas time, they don't get anything. So it was only a very small thing. It was less than $300, but we gave them each a comforter and a pillow. So with the donations we received, we were able to provide gifts to all of the people we support across the province. Your gift of pillows and comforters for the 4 individuals who live at your Innisfil location was very well received. These are needed items and will be well used. On behalf of all the people there, thank you so much. You made a difference to someone who's deaf and blind. So that's from our club. Just a little thing we do, and we're doing something else right now also. We've got the well, I'll tell you about it when we do it, okay? All right. So today is Bell Let's Talk Day. And out of every 2 people who need help for depression, various issues, only 1 gets the help that they need. So if you had, and sometimes it's just a matter of having a conversation, saying a few words. Like my neighbor across the street, Ray, we just found out the other day he has colon cancer. It's bad, and he walks his dog every morning. And I would always try and have a word with him from now and then, and we talk about the lease. Anyway, I make a point now I want from him. When he comes out of the house with the dog, and you can see him walking down the street, it's not very well. So I go, coat on, shoes on, down the street. Ray, how you doing? And you see him just go, oh, hi, Al. And he's got a little bit of a smile on his face because he knows we're going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. And for him, I was thinking about Let's Talk. It may be the only time of the day that he has a smile on his face. So it's not very much. It's just a little thing. But if you know somebody, or you can recognize somebody who's maybe having some problem, just a few words. Sometimes it makes all the difference. Okay. My goodness, I head for Rotary, and I get in the tractor. I got nothing to say this morning, but by the time I get here, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Don't worry, ladies, we're coming to you soon. That line, Andrea. Okay, this morning we've got Katie and Debbie, and they're going to be taking on a big job, and they've already done an awful lot of work on this. The committees, the committee chairs, really what Rotary does, our work in the community. Now, when I joined Rotary, we immediately were on a committee. In fact, in a small club like this, you're on more than one. And in the Barrie clubs, the moment you joined, you were put on a committee. And people started off on a committee, structured, working, doing stuff. Down here in this one, we never really did that, although we tried our best. Please, this morning, don't hesitate. All you have to do is put up your hand or say, I'll help. We need everybody in our club to do something. If everybody did a little, we would be the best club in the district. If you want to join Rotary.
Excuse me, we're not?
When you join Rotary, you've got to do something, okay? Please pay attention to what these ladies say. Give it your attention. and really give it some thought. We need everybody to step up. We're coming out of COVID. We're going into a time when we got to get our club back on track, back focused, and back working. So pay attention to these ladies, and to the two ladies, I want to say on behalf of all of us, thank you for all the work you've done on this.
Yeah.
I saw that print out the other day, and it's really wonderful. Okay, so let's make sure we haven't forgot anybody. What I was going to mention the ice, please. Kid went through the ice in Guilford the other day. He was rescued. 3 snowmobiles went through the ice on 6 Mile Lake. They managed to get there. They got 2 out. One, they could see his helmet in his suit. He disappeared. So your friends come up from the Toronto, they want to get on the ice? No. Let's wait until there's at least a foot. It's still open water. So stay off the ice, okay? That's it for me this morning, and thank you.
Thank you, Al. Okay, Katie and Debbie. No?
Yes, so thank you very much.
Katie.
Yes, and thank you for my perspective this one. So it's actually the admin committee that is sort of organizing today. We figured we could do this really informally and just have each of the chairs of the committee speak to what they're working on this year, what generally the committee is responsible for, and then open it up for questions for any of our members to ask any of the chairs a question specific of their committee. And so we'll just kind of maybe go round table, and nobody has any objections. That's how we'll do this. Okay. Anne, are you okay to start us off from events?
Sure, I'll do that. And also, I just mentioned, Katie, that this morning I saw an email that Whitney had sent to Tim about community service. So I can read the information she sent as well if you want. And because those two committees kind of tie into each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm chair of the events committee, and the purpose of our committee is to plan and carry out Rotary events in Innisfil. Also, where possible, we partner with other organizations here in Innisfil, other volunteers, other businesses in the community, as well as other committees in the club in order to carry out the events. Events can be either a fundraiser for the club or the community, or they can be a fundraiser. And a good example of a fundraiser would be the gingerbread house contest that we had last November. We didn't really raise any money from it, but we had a lot of fun, and I think the community really enjoyed it as well. The events committee has been meeting pretty much monthly for the last year or so to plan the gingerbread house contest. And we had a meeting last night, and we're going to plan 2 or 3 other events for this year as well. So I'll just share with the club. Besides the gingerbread house contest, which is going to be November the 25th this year, we are also having a spring fling celebration of some sort. 3 years ago was this club's 10th anniversary, and COVID kind of got in the way of that. So we're going to tweak that and do something in June here at the library. I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet, but it's going to be our 10th anniversary plus, plus, plus. I think more on that is coming out shortly. Also going to reintroduce our harvest dinner that we had, I'm going to say 3 years ago or so in the fall here at the library. Basically, we approached a lot of local food producers, and we had a young gentleman who was a chef in Barrie who volunteered to come and prepare the meal for us. And it was a fundraiser. We also had a silent auction and a live auction, and it did quite well. So we're going to do that probably the end of September, just waiting to hear a final date back from the library, but probably around the 30th of September, that last Saturday. The other event that we're going to be working on is a bit of a partnership with a couple businesses in Lefroy. You might remember dentistry at Lefroy and the Lefroy Pharmacy have helped us a couple of years with the at-risk teens program that C4K has. They provided hygiene products and allowed C4K to support quite a few kids in our community. They've approached us and asked if we would help them put on a community event for the Lefroy, Bellevue, Guilford area. So they feel like that's an area in Innisfil that maybe doesn't have a lot going on, and they think it would be good for the community. So they are going to put that together, but they would like us to partner with it. And that will probably be later in the summer, sometime maybe in August. So that's what we have going on right now. Our committee members, Susie is our vice chair, and as well, there's Barb and Smith, Teresa, Whitney, Jeff, and Barry Rutledge. But always looking for more, especially now that we have lots on the go for this year. So if anybody's interested, let me know. Or if you have any questions.
As President Anne, it's important to know with a small club, it will, pardon me, all those events that you talk about that are the larger things like the spring fling or the harvest dinner and so on, it's all hands on deck.
That's true. We'll coordinate it,
Yeah,
but
everybody has to help with that.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the harvest dinner was probably one of the first things that was really done that way in the library that they helped us with. It was fabulous. It turned into, was the kitchen. Yep. And everything came out, and at that time the Rotary Club supported us with serving and working with the chef. So it's something that was really a lot of fun. Tables were sold, money was made, fun was had.
You did the Caribbean night too, right?
I
Yes.
did not. I was in the Caribbean when that happened.
I remember the Caribbean night. That was fun too.
And there was an auction that night too, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And there was the famous Jeff Rayner auction at the harvest. Was that the Jason? Who did I say? Jeff, right? Jeff. I don't know if I knew Jeff Rayner. Was that the harvest dinner?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Between Al and Jason, and fortunately for Al, Jason had just a bit
No,
more
and
in his pocket.
Al knew when to stop. As soon as I got Jason to $1,000, I said, okay, Jason, you can have it. And my wife was sitting there and she said,
We did a lot of things that night. We raised money. We actually brought food for the food bank.
Mhm.
That was our table display. Was
Oh, yeah.
cans
Great.
of food on the table, and all that food went to the food bank, and
I'm so anxious for a party.
everyone
You know.
is. So it's time, yeah, and we really need to ask the club for support on these things. So if you want to join the events committee, I mean, we are the most fun committee. We are the party girls.
Yeah.
So we'll take some boys with us. Just-
Any questions about what we do? Okay, I think that's it in a nutshell. I can. I hope you'll excuse me. I'm just going to basically read it. I just saw it just before I came to the meeting this morning. So Whitney is the chair of the Community Service Committee. So what she has here is community service defines Rotary's character. It's the basis for its appeal and visibility in the community, and is the reason Rotary continues to grow. Community service responds to the needs of the local community. The top community service priorities for clubs are best determined by examining the assets and needs in a local community and then developing a response. This ensures that Rotary will not function in isolation, but be an active part of the community with projects that are relevant and effective. So community service encourages and fosters the ideal of service to the personal, business, and community life of every Rotarian. It provides opportunities for every Rotarian to exemplify service above self. It provides a chance to respond to the needs of a local community. So effective service committee projects are relevant to the community. They serve as a learning experience for Rotarians. They help identify a Rotary Club's role in its community. They respond to real issues and offer more than a quick fix. They improve community members' lives. They incorporate the abilities of those who are served. They recognize the contributions of all participants, and they are supported by members of the club. And then Whitney goes on to say, there are several projects that the Community Service Committee for our club looks after. One of them is the Sandy Cove Christmas Food Drive that happened early in December. The Apple Dumpling books for grade 2 that Andrea was just a part of, and Al. Quiet Santa for kids who can't see a traditional mall Santa. That's been a club project for, I don't know, eight years now anyway. Teens at Risk hygiene bags that the club does for C4K. The bake sale at the Gingerbread House contest, which was also very successful. Monthly collection for different local groups. If you remember, Whitney would announce a local group that we were supporting, and then do collections for that group each month, and making meals for the Troy Scott community fridges. And I understand that she's got another plan involved in the works to hopefully do that again very soon. And that's what she submitted. She hasn't sent a list of who her committee members are.
No, that's okay.
I actually have it
Oh,
here.
okay.
Oh, no, this is public relations. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm doing
That you're
community
doing sharp?
service.
No, there's a lot of overlap.
No, I think that's great.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions about community service that we might be able to answer? No? Okay, Jeff, I'm looking to you. You've got a few committees to chat about.
Great.
Yeah,
Which one would you like me to work?
whatever you'd like.
All right, we'll start with the garden. We had talked with a bunch of people in the club, and we're thinking of putting perennials in there instead of annuals. So it's gonna be less work in the long run, and that way we don't have to worry about it. We can go out there and weed it once a year, maybe prune some flowers back, make it look pretty. And we're thinking of either putting a peace pole up there or something else to go along with the garden. So we're meeting, well, we always have people come and help plant, so it's just a matter of getting the plants and telling everybody it's time to do the work, and then we all show up and do the work, so. We usually have the same group every year, to helps plant. So this year, we're looking at the perennials, so Warren's already volunteered some of his processes apparently. So I don't know if Warren knows about that yet or not.
I got loads of hosses too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's-
Who doesn't if they have
Yeah,
hosses?
Let's see what we got, so.
Just
That's what we're
hosses?
planning on doing. So it's gonna be less work in the long run. So, yes.
Is this part of the environmental committee?
Yes. And we also do the kitchen day too, which Al looks after for the town. Not every year too, the last several years, stuff like that, so.
10 years or 11.
Sorry to interrupt. We're going to be doing fire alarms this morning. so-
Oh, okay, thanks.
So that's about it with the flowers, so it's.
Is that, sorry, may I ask you a question? Is that like a one day thing kind of thing? Like-
Yeah, usually when we it's just a one-day thing.
And it's outdoors, right?
Yeah, what we've done in the past, is order the flowers back in February, March. Then we get them in April, May, and then we plant them. So usually, I'd say 4 or 5 was the plant.
So I have a silly question. Are you allowed to smoke?
That's what?
Smoke. When
Smoke
you're
what?
planting stuff.
You can do whatever
Cigars,
you want.
when you-
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Put me on for.
Can you smoke?
So,
Yes,
for
that's
good.
for those of you who don't know what it is,
You're gonna bring a Duke or something.
No, I'm just kidding. I like gardening, I like digging holes. I like it dirty.
Clearly, we need to do better advertising though, because Jamie doesn't know where it is.
yeah, we
The
need
Rotary
to.
Trail, I thought.
No.
Oh, I thought you were just.
You can't hide your cigar.
The
in
Young
the
Street
Rotary
entrance to the
Trail.
Y. The Young Street entrance to the Y.
The Young Street entrance, the one.
This big sign that says Rotary Club.
Clearly, we're not making an impact with that garden.
Well, I like to go the same way all the time.
Yeah, but it's smoking the funny cigars.
I
think a police pole is a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's way up there, though. You can do it. I don't think you'll have a smoking.
I'm in that.
Okay, any more questions on the garden or anything else from environmental?
What else can we plant? No.
No.
That's not three.
That's something.
Yeah, you want to plant some weed?
Yeah.
We can't make money out of it, we get a license for it.
Be careful about the peace ball because the go bus may stop every time.
Do you need another
Don't make
peace
it
pole?
crazy.
We're working on that. We have the other 5 poles down, they're all sitting in the farm, so they're getting dried out.
Yeah, if you need.
We have some more volunteers, so I'm gonna, more volunteers we have the peace poles. So,
Is that part of the committee?
that's a different committee, again, peace poles, but that's, I'm on that committee also, so it's just a matter of finding out who's gonna take care of that.
I hope I live long enough to see.
Don't worry, I'll look at it this year. Okay, so anybody else got any questions on the environmental?
I'm curious who's on the Peace Bowl committee.
Well, we don't know, the original peace pole committee was dissolved.
Okay.
Yes, the call has been put out for members of that committee. I
And the
don't-
second one's in chaos.
So I don't know where that sits right now, because I believe President is organizing it. So that there was an email that went out that we can reference to what that is.
There is one pole which is finished with Jamie, who's graciously done for us. So now we just gotta get it put up, because we have permission to put up here at the library apparently. Just a matter of getting who's gonna put it up. I have all the parts for it, just gonna be done. So.
Will it be done by Friday?
All right, now, train. It needs some major work, lights on it, all the cars are working, the lights on the train itself, the engine part, half the lights don't work. We put temporary lights on last fall, but they're not as good as the LED lights that we have on there, so. We were supposed to have it all done by past President Dean, but he seemed to have dropped the ball there, so now we're looking to do more work on the train, because some of the parts I grabbed just fell off my hand because it started to rot. So it has to be repaired, repainted, some portions of it, especially the lower part, and the undercarriages have to be cleaned and repainted and then re-oiled. That's what has to be done, so they don't rust, because it's rusty real bad. So it's something that we have to look forward to this spring. We'll start with one car at a time. Everything still works. We can take it out. I have the generator at home now. It's actually working again. So it's we're working on doing a working off of a inverter off the truck. So instead of having a generator, you just plug it into your truck and away you go. So it means you have to reverse all the wires and plug it in the front instead of the back. So that's just a matter of, because all the wires in the bottom too are starting to get brittle and starting to crack. And some of the wires don't work anymore, so they have to be replaced. That's something we have to do as we go.
Jeff, have we asked InPower did the lights last time? Have we made a call to see if they can help us?
I offered, but nobody took that. I could talk to them if you want.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. I mean, they did a great job of lighting it up last time.
Mhm.
And I mean, they're part of the town, they enjoy the train.
It's been over 5 years.
Let them help.
Well, it's been longer than that.
It's been longer, yeah.
Over 5 years.
Oh, yeah, the train is starting to show its wear. It's getting already, last year, one of the seats actually fell off, we have all the screws fell in, rotted off, so we have to repair that. So that's something we gotta look at this year too, is taking all the seats, and fasten them, so they're properly fastened to the floor, so they don't bounce off before down the road. So it's okay when people are sitting, the lights will wait, when they're not sitting down, when they're driving on the road, you hit a bump, they go, bing, bing, and the next thing you know, they're off the tree. So.
Well, my husband's a writer. He knows all about that stuff, so.
Okay.
If you need any help,
So you can tell, you tell Ken that we're gonna be
He
calling.
knows how to make rides.
he knows how to get rights. I'm a mechanic for Wonderland for 13 years. Kind of good stuff.
Figured that.
Any more questions on the train? Now fundraising, everybody's on that committee, because everybody has to help do the fundraising, to make money for our club. We haven't done it, it's usually our major fundraiser of the year. We want to make it our biggest fundraiser of the year, is what we're gonna try to do. Jamie's here today because he's gonna tell us some more stuff after the meeting, at our other meeting, on some new ideas that we're having. I brought one of the old cookbooks that we had, which was printed in 2012. Yes. 4 boxes of those.
Oh, good, I kept giving those away.
Yeah.
So if everyone wants to have a look at it, pass that around. And there's a lot of fundraising ideas out there. We just have to pick one, and everybody has to work at it. Like, it's not something we can just say 2 or 3 people. Not 11,000 machine. So we'll have to hand that check to them someday too. So if anybody has any idea, or anybody wants to do fundraising, give me a call, send me an email, whatever.
Have we heard from the car show people, the antique people?
No, we haven't, there's a problem, well, unless we have it at the Agriplant or the Agri.
Town agriculture.
Yeah. Unless we have it there, because Haley don't, well, they still own some of the property there, but
Yeah.
it's not like that, because grass is not cut and stuff like that, so we couldn't have it there. So we have to have it someplace where we can do it, because we've always made a bit of money there, and we've always sold tickets.
It was a great event. I mean,
There is other car clubs out there, like there's one in Bradford, one in Newmarket, one in Innisfil. Like, if we got them all together, we could probably do a big car rally and a lot of fundraising there.
I ran into Rick Winston yesterday, actually. They had their first meeting of the Innisfil Park Club yesterday.
Okay.
So they're already started their year, so it might be an opportune time to speak to them.
We had a table at the car show down the lake this last month.
Yeah, it's last summer.
Yeah, so I was there. So,
That's the thing too, like we have tables everywhere, but we have to have, like we did the Onion Fest last year also. And we did Solomon last year, we did Foodland and So there's different places we can go to sell tickets. But like I said, we've got to have people that are willing to gap people, talk to people. There's a few people that are probably a little shyer than others, but other people can sell tickets no matter what happens. So we need those people to step forward.
Yeah, I've got a couple of door-to-door jobs. For business.
For business, yeah. So like I say, we've got some other ideas coming up. So hopefully we can come up with some great ideas, which is gonna do less work for us and make us more money. That's the whole objective.
And if I may, Jeff did send out an email, but the fundraising committee is meeting after this meeting. So if anybody wants to hear about what we're planning or wants to join the committee and has time to stick around afterwards, please join Jeff and Jamie and the rest of the members for that meeting.
That's it.
Janet, I'm going to throw it to you next.
I am going to do a disclaimer here. I am not the chair for the foundation committee. But I was asked by past President Anne to kind of pull something together.
She's suffering down the floor.
Yeah.
Actually,
So,
Anne's home.
it's home?
That huge storm drove them home.
They got to Washington.
Yeah, they were at the Smithsonian and stuff, but she just texted them, responding to a text. She's home and got home last night, but the storms they're supposed to be like epic storms down there.
There was a bunch of tornadoes.
Yeah, so she's home safe. So when you hear about the
Good.
storms, feel like she's home safe.
That's good news.
Okay, so first, what is the Rotary Foundation? The Rotary Foundation is a charitable arm of Rotary International and is supported solely by voluntary contributions from Rotarians and friends of the foundation. Through foundation grants, Rotarians are able to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health and the support of education and the alleviation of poverty. What is the Club Foundation Committee role? The role of the Rotary Club of Innisfil Foundation Committee is to develop and implement a plan to support the foundation through program participation and financial contributions to community and international service. Responsibilities of the Club, the Rotary Foundation Committee are summarized below. Develop committee goals to achieve Club Foundation goals for the coming year, educate and train club members about the foundation, encourage and facilitate participation in foundation programs, ensure that our club members contribute to the Rotary Foundation. What are our past events for Rotary Foundation awareness? In the past, we did several things that would help to fundraise for the foundation. They were the polio walk on Polio Day in October. I think it's on the 24th this year. This is not fundraising, but to build awareness for polio and other health focuses. Fundraising through several ways in which proceeds were donated for the club directly to the foundation. Our club would receive Paul Harris points. One opportunity was we sold stuffies for a small monetary amount. One year we set up a booth out front of the Stroud Beer store to sell stuffies, which really went over gangbusters. We did that for a few years. Yeah. We held an Unsung Hero Awards Gala that we used for Paul Harris Club points and some donated points by members to recognize a youth and an adult who stood out in the community and their school. Members donated $1,000 directly to the share funds to receive a Paul Harris Award, and here's mine. So you get a big certificate, right? And then you get a small pin with Paul Harris's head on it. When we did it, there was 9 of us in the club of, I think, 20 that actually had a Paul Harris fellowship. So that was kind of cool. And we still have people today that are still donating to that as well. We have members that became a Paul Harris fellow. So Paul Harris was the founder of Rotary. So we read, there's a whole story behind that, but I'm not going to, that will be another Rotary Corner. Each year our club is challenged to donate a certain amount of money to the foundation, which in turn helps with various grants. So when every year comes around and our leadership changes, they have goals that have to be set. And in those goals, one of them is donating certain amounts of money to the foundation on behalf of our club. So it usually comes out of our dues, a portion of our dues that we pay quarterly or however we pay it, goes towards that fundraising, and then on top of that, the club donates or tops up from there on any of the events that we have as fundraising events as well. At one time, our speakers were given a certificate for taking the time to do a presentation. The club would donate $5 in their name to Rotary Foundation. Instead of giving a gift like we used to many years ago, maybe give them a cookbook, you know, that kind of thing. This time, we changed that so that they get a Rotary certificate from us that's customized for our club, and we give, we put in we're supposed to be putting $5 in on their behalf, which they enjoy. One of the foundation committee members could do or would do a learning corner moment on a foundation topic. So not only once a month, we have a foundation topic. So what does Rotary Foundation mean to the club? There are 5 key focuses for the foundation. They are polio plus, Rotary Peace Centers, district grants, global grants, disaster response grants. Our foundation committee is here to educate, promote ways to donate, fundraise through different avenues, and give awareness to others outside of the club about these 5 areas of that foundation support. So for instance, our Peace Polls fulfills the Rotary Peace Centers kind of mandate of being recognized, and we can talk about that as well, which is kind of cool. Our disaster response grants, like so when we had the fires out west and we donated money through that, if we were doing Haiti with the hurricanes, things like that happen. Susie, are you still our ambassador for Shelter Box?
I'm still in with Shelter Box.
Shelter Box, so that's another one that is affiliated through Rotary. So how can you help with Foundation Committee? By being part of the committee to engage in the different events, to help organize one of the event subcommittees, and or to donate directly to Rotary Foundation. So that is it. And if you want a copy of this, I can email it to you.
Thank you, Jen.
The fundraising, I'm just trying, is it a charity?
Yeah, you do get.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say, it's sort of tough when we have a fundraising committee and like as a team trying to fundraise for both. But I think you'd go from the angle of you would get a tax receipt as opposed to buying a Rotary calendar.
Right.
I'm just trying to think it through, because you could do a year-end drive if you had an information package so that the community knew the benefits of giving the money, right?
Well,
Do more of a traditional
there
fundraising.
there are a bunch of training modules for foundation, but there's also materials that you can use that you customize towards the foundation. So you can put our Rotary logo on it and, you know, customizing that way. They're all editable PDFs. So it gives us the opportunity to be able to customize that. We used to every year. We had a box every time somebody was coming in, especially the visitors. There was a box with our name badges, and right beside it was a whole bunch of different materials that we could give to visitors or to anybody that all wanted to. Our visitors who were doing their public speaking would be able to put materials out in that area. So it kind of gave everybody a chance to come and draw towards it and find out more about what Rotary is. And every year, if you go onto Rotary.org, you can actually download the stats of the foundation. But just remember, you can't get a grant without having your district and your global grants not being supported through the foundation. That's where the money goes. So anything that we donate to that goes hand in hand. So if our club turned around and said, we're not donating to the foundation, we would not be eligible for any type of grant through Rotary whatsoever, which is counterproductive. Right? So foundation is really high up there on the needs list.
Any other questions? Barb, pass it to you. For public relations and or admin.
Sorry, okay, sorry, when you said Whitney, I said it. But public relations, Whitney and I, and for those of you who don't know Whitney, she's on mat leave home with a beautiful little baby. And so Whitney does press releases. No media release should ever leave the club without going through Whitney's hands first. She usually drafts them and puts them together for you and those sorts of things. If there's ever an event or something where there needs speaking notes, particularly if something happened unexpectedly, Whitney is the one who can put those things together. That's her profession, and she does it for us at a professional level. And she also manages the Instagram and Twitter account, and I do the Facebook and a lot of emails to you folks. But we try to keep it looking the same and feeling the same on both media, like on both platforms. And we try to post at Facebook's a bit easier sometimes, but perfect example was Andrea sent me the photos that she took, or the teachers, I guess, took because you were in them, to provide about the apple dumpling meeting that went on at Stroud. And those are the kinds of things that puts us in the community all the time. And it's very interesting. I'll be interested to watch where that one goes with likes and shares, because it's that kind of thing that people in the community grasp. They're not really so interested with absolute respect to polio fund necessarily, because most people that live in our area right now have no idea what polio is or the impact it had on the world. And so those things where they see themselves, that's what gets us comments. And in the community, I don't know if the rest of you ever, I saw something on Facebook about Rotary, or I saw something in the news about Rotary, or those kind of things. So it's a bit of a, without actual print newspapers anymore, it's getting more and more difficult with getting, with no Miriam in the community. We don't have that. We do have April, and she's doing a great job on the online newspapers for us, but we should always, when we nail down these items that we talked about this morning about the potential activities and the events and so on, as they develop, mark your calendar kind of events and things like that, so that we can put it out there. And if anybody did exactly what Andrea did, which was to send me the photos, and then I put the little tag underneath it and where we went. We sometimes get speakers from public media or our own media, and sometimes we get new members' interest. Sometimes we get people that just want to know more about Rotary globally, and then they go away with the knowledge about it and realize that somewhere down the road they may become involved. So on that committee are Ryan and myself. Tim is on all committees as president. Michael Tuff, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He is, but he's not with the club. And Ken Simpson and Barry Rutledge all work on those committees. And anybody who has anything that they'd like to promote, if you send it to me, particularly now while Whitney's on that leave, I collect them and send them off to her.
Cross-functional.
Yes, it's a cross-functional, and really anything that's going on. If I didn't know about the events, Anne should be absolutely making sure as soon as we nail something down, just to start publicizing it. And a good example of that is right now, Anne said we talked about the gingerbread contest. We're going to publish a date very soon for the November 25th.
Yeah.
November 25th. Part gets a point, she remembered a date. November 25th is the next gingerbread house contest. And so for those artists that make those gingerbread pieces, they will start right now planning it. So according to Beatrice, who's our guru who gives us all advice, is an expert on it, and has won lots of projects.
One of them had like furniture in the house, Christmas tree inside the house.
Yeah, that's stuff. And so people are planning, so we have to get it out there, save the date for those people. So that's the kind of stuff we do. And we really miss Miriam.
Just a comment. Actually, I was just going to say the article that went out recently with the Rotary Club. I was amazed at how many people actually contacted me to say this. That were not part of what we told you. And we actually, we promoted it in our RLI as well. So, yeah.
So if somebody has something that, like, if, for example, we were going to do a heart trip and somebody was going to leave that group from here, that's a great trickle out thing to get support in the community. And so there's lots of ways to do it. Jenna, is there anybody who does PR knows how important it is for one person to talk to another person because they read something. And pictures are always best.
Any questions about PR? No. Do you want me to speak to admin, or would you like to speak to admin?
You can.
Okay. The admin committee. So that is a committee of 3 at the moment, myself, Barb, and Ann Smith. We are responsible for sort of, I'll say, club operations. We book our speakers. We try and manage that calendar as well online. We are responsible for organizing the annual General Assembly, which if anybody's checked the list of meetings, that has just moved. We've moved that to March 15th in order to have some really good sessions getting us ready for that event. So take a look at the website. Part of that is also the newsletter, which it's just a little project I'm owning, but it is a responsibility of the admin committee. We also share this role a little bit with membership, but when it comes to sending any congratulation messages or gift baskets or things to members or cards, that is something that the admin committee takes on. Am I missing anything?
It really is a lot of background work.
Yes, it's a lot of administration, which is why it's aptly named.
But we also need help for, everybody here knows somebody who's a great speaker, everybody
Yes.
here, you know, those kind of things, because you go through your list of people that you know, and or if you had an interest in hearing about a certain thing, then we can look for a speaker on that topic, or look for somebody from Rotary to speak to us. And now that we have the opportunity to use Zoom, we can have them speak to us from virtually anywhere.
And we always used to have vocational speakers.
Yes.
So get your stories ready, everybody, because you're going to be asked to say who you are, what you've done, and how you got here.
Mhm.
Because it's important for us to know each other. We don't have that.
Yeah, we have to
opportunity
start
for-
integrating that back in, and it doesn't have to be a dazzling PowerPoint. It can just be about,
Read it off piece of paper.
yeah, you can read, just talk about who you are, and it's amazing sometimes who, all of a sudden you'll realize you need to know something about, oh, so-and-so, talk to us about that. They know people in that world. We can get speakers, or we can get, and it is absolutely a really important thing. It's not organic automatically as it is, we would hope it would be, but because we have our meeting and that's a little more formal, to get to know each other. That's why some of the social things that we did when we had the grand celebration at Anne's house this past year, how nice that was, just to get to know each other and sit around and chat with each other and not do the business of the meeting.
I think it was my first party. I counted that as a party. And anytime there's a date too, because for city night, we go out together and there's food on Maggie.
That's awesome. I love that concept.
And somebody's gonna have to drop Jamie and get him out for us.
Or James.
Oh, try.
Have a good week.
Thanks, Allison.
Any questions about admin committee?
Can I make a suggestion? What they did in Petawawa Rotary Club, they did a breakfast, a potluck breakfast, and it was a vocational speech just going around the table. Everyone said something about themselves, and it's a potluck breakfast.
Classification session from my nuggets.
Yes.
Love that.
Great idea.
No, can I just, Sue just had a great idea. That's a good idea. You don't necessarily need breakfast, but you could go around the table for an hour.
Yeah.
Informally.
And everybody say the same.
Yeah,
All right, committee, we're gonna put it on the calendar.
that's a great idea.
Good one.
But I like the potluck, Ken.
I like to call that, don't get me wrong.
Sometimes it's hard enough.
There's stuff on the corner here for you guys to eat.
Yes, grab your Timmy's and bring it.
Yes. And then I am gonna, Debbie, I'll ask you to speak on membership. I'll add color if necessary, but throw it to you.
Membership. So Katie and I, in the fall, we did a quick presentation. So most of you know what we're looking to do for this year. So I'll just kind of go over it again. So it's improve attendance, new membership, new member success, grow membership, and build connections. And so what we've done so far is we've come up with an operational plan for membership. And we've included mentorship, mentors, fellowship, and we've included weekly updates on our agenda now. So we have a meeting after this meeting with our membership committee, who consists of myself, Katie as chair, co-chair, Chris Banks, Al, Ken, Ann Smith, Eleanor, and Janet. So if anybody else would like to come on this, committee, you're more than welcome to. So most of what we're doing is we're going to be, we've onboarded a couple of new members, Andrea, Z, Taya.
Lucy, she came just before. me,
Yeah,
but-
so we're trying to improve our attendance, which we have noticed that our attendance with individuals has gone from, we're like 15 to 22 members a meeting with a club of 34, 35. So that's excellent, actually. Getting to know members, again, vocationals, we're going to start doing those. One of my ideas was similar to yours, but speed dating. So, you know, someone sits on the outside and the people on the inside. It's more fun, you hear the ding ding. Growing our membership, of course, to attract new members, especially from diverse communities. We want to try and get some more diversity in our club if possible. This was kind of small with that, but we're trying to do that. And then increase our fellowship. So we're looking at encouraging active participation, making it fun and social. And a couple of those ideas were like monthly club socials outside of the actual meeting. So that's something that our committee is going to work on today. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll just add, also, I think our role as membership is also to be the voice of our members. So we really encourage that open dialogue and feedback. And so, and then we take that, any concerns or questions or ideas, we take that on behalf of the members to our board. And that really does institute a lot of change as we move forward. We'll certainly be looking to our committee for support throughout the rest of this year and into next year with doing some of those pieces to, again, I think really around the fellowship side of things. So yeah, that's our goal. Any questions?
So we have a weird diversity thing happening in this lately. Just out of curiosity, you know, even as short as 5 years ago, our biggest second language was Spanish, mostly because of the agro community. Now, by a huge margin, it's Russian, the most common spoken language in this one extinction. Weird, eh?
I have neighbors that I'm
Huge,
soon enough to
huge.
great neighbors that are from that.
My neighbors behind me, a young couple, both from Russia, just moved in behind me, and we have the other new people in the community. And of course, Ukrainians. I think we'll see more and more Ukrainians.
Armenians.
Yeah. Or Russian speaking.
Yeah. Excellent. I think then that wraps up our
Joanne,
not a committee, but Joanne, would you maybe want to share anything about treasurer role or secretary role, the responsibilities there?
Be the treasurer for 2 weeks. The secretary position, basically, besides taking the minutes for the, you're a member of the board, you take minutes for the board meetings and for regular business meetings. When somebody joins the club, I add the Rotary International as well as club runners. I'm supposed to check according to the manual, I'm supposed to also check when the invoices come in for the Rotary, charging us for dues and so on. Chris will be doing more of that than I have. So right now, I'm just putting all that stuff there. Also, the secretary looks after the insurance. So if you have any needs where we're doing a fundraiser of some sort or some sort of event, and we need insurance, I need to go to the district person. Not that we have an insurance broker, and this lady will put together something for us that we need at least 2 weeks notice, otherwise we won't get covered. We just last year with the beer tent, we were covered. So it's really important to let us know in advance. So I'm making a list of all the different events and let me know when your events are coming up. I can check in with you on that. So that's the. And the treasurer basically pays all bills, looks at the financial statements, and that kind of thing.
Awesome.
So Katie Ann sent me an email 2 days ago and asked me just to briefly mention the sergeant.
Yeah, great.
Is that okay?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
nothing's really changed. And he's a sergeant at arms, a member of the board, attends all regular meetings and board meetings and emergency meetings. Help maintain an orderly, dignified, and effective Rotary Club meeting. one that will make the right impression on club members, visitors, especially visitors, and guests. Be constantly on the alert to prevent any occurrence that might detract from the dignity and prestige associated with Rotary clubs. We're not really worried about that here. Provide a pleasant and successful meeting. Make it friendly, make it warm, make guests and visitors want to come back. I do want to mention one other quick thing I never mentioned before. When I joined the club and became the president, I thought, we've got to get Rotary out into the community. So I joined the Remembrance Day ceremony and the Pitching Day committee. And I've been on that now for quite a few years, and Anne's on the Pitching committee with me. But when you're introduced, you're introduced as a member of the Rotary Club. Any of the meetings, the Remembrance Day ceremony, I'm involved in all of them now. The one at the Legion, the one in Cookstown, the one at the Town Hall. And when they introduce you in front of the town, you're Al Gilchrist from the Rotary Club in Innisfil. I always thought it was important that Rotary Club have a representation on the important places and the important committees in the town. Something else came up this year. Marion King's retirement, Harry Courtney's retirement, and the Troy Scott Fridge dedication. And Tim, the president, naturally, the president goes and does all the speaking. It didn't work out quite the way we wanted. At Marion King's presentation, he asked me to do the talking. And so there was all the politicians and then there was the Rotary Club. At Howard Courtney's presentation, Anne and Barb and Ann Smith and myself were up in front of a lot of people at the church. And we were the only organization, there was the people from the church, and it was the mayor and the Rotary Club. So we've taken on an important part of the community, be represented at important events and be introduced. And I've always thought it was so important to do that. And that's about it. But no changes. But if you've got any suggestions for the picture for the Sergeant at Arms, please let me know. And if you would like to do it for a little while, let me know. We'll work together on it. But I just want you to enjoy it very much. It's a different type of thing, and I'm kind of a free spirit. I like to get involved in things, and every once in a while I'll do something away from all of it, and it's collect socks. A few years ago, we got the community church put out a challenge to all the organizations, Lions, Rotary, all the different organizations. So bring in breakfast foods. They didn't have any breakfast foods at the food bank. A few years ago, the food bank wasn't involved as it is today. Anyway, we sent a challenge out to the club. And can you remember, Barb and Ann, do we have like 300 boxes or something? We had hundreds of
300 socks, like 300 pairs.
No, cereal.
Oh, the cereal one, yeah.
So we have
There was a mountain.
a mountain of cereal.
I'll look and see if
And
I can find it.
we got a lot of publicity out of that. We were the only organization that responded. No one else responded. So I think it's important to be a presence on the different organizations in the town. And as your Sergeant at Arms, I really make a point of pursuing those things. Okay, all right, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. And sometimes it just takes a champion to get the ball rolling out. Thank you. I think in the interest of time, Janet, do you mind if we push Learning Corner off to next week?
I think we've learned enough today.
Something before we wrap
Yeah, of course.
And
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
in the interest of being a Rotarian and the library, could I ask everybody who, when you stand up, could you stack the chair beside you on the one beside it to help this person out in the library?
Great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Go
Well, I
ahead,
just want to mention that this weekend, the Lions Club is celebrating their 50th anniversary. So Saturday, between 1 and 5, they're going to have cake and refreshments, and the mayor's going to be there and council. So if you're in the area, please stop by.
And there's cake.
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 Okay, Barb heard cake. I heard that.
She didn't hear anything else, just cake.
That's right. Thanks, Teresa.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there is the big celebration, the opening of that.
So have cake and then come over.
Have cake and then.
Well, the celebration is tomorrow. If you're here, The grand opening's tomorrow, Friday.
27.
27.
Friday.
Oh, okay.
This is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Well, we know what you meant.
I was smoking in cigars.
Yes, please, Susie.
You can't read your. Ready? Last three numbers for 50-50, 773.
Okay.
Oh, that's me.
Thank
Great
you,
last week too.
thank you, Katie, and all the community chairs. That was a good meeting.
Thanks,
And
Ed.
we'll send out, the ones that came last night, we'll send them around on the.
Okay,
And
perfect.
Susie fixed the flag.
Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh.